Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome back, students. So we are part 3 of lecture 6 of the C++ functions part, and we are the course is programming fundamentals. So in the previous part, in the part 2 of C++ user defined function, we discussed that we are going to solve a palindrome problem. So we are going to find whether a number is palindrome or it is not a palindrome. So we discussed the pseudocode or the algorithm for the palindrome. First we discussed it informally. We said that the highest power of 10 that divides 1 to 18281 is 4. So we have a power variable, and then for removing the first digit we use this modulus operator and 10 to the power whatever the number is, and then in order to remove the last digit we divided by 10, and then we the power is decremented by 2 for the next iteration. And then we discussed this problem in a step-by-step fashion. These were the three main steps of finding whether a number is palindrome or not a palindrome. I also run this is num palindrome code on the code blocks, but you run it and you were successfully able to run it, and successfully the program was able to tell us whether a number is palindrome or not a palindrome. But today we are going to go step by step, and we are going to understand how this is num palindrome number works while we are using or we are executing in the this program in the code blocks. So with that, I'm going to switch to the code blocks program. So this is our program. I'm going to turn on the magnifier because I think it will be difficult for you to visualize it. Okay, so here we are. We have is palindrome function. So it is accepting an integer num. It is a boolean. The return type is boolean, so it means that this function will either return as true or false, 1 or 0. If a number is palindrome, then it will return 1. If a number is not a palindrome, it will return 0. So how does this function works? This is the main purpose of today's lecture, to understand how this palindrome number works in C++ language. So first, as you know, that the program execution starts at the main function. So this is our main function. In the main function we have only two statements. The first one is cout is num palindrome. So we are calling that function. So this is, let me comment it out, calling a function. So this is call to a function, and here we can pass any argument, 1 to 1 or 1 to or any number. So is num palindrome will tell you whether that number is palindrome or not. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to compile and run it once again so that you might know that 1 to 1 is a palindrome number. So that is okay. This means that our program is working fine. So let's see if I write 2 1 2 1 2. So let's see whether this number is palindrome or not. Yes, this number is also a palindrome. So let me give it another number, 2 1 2 1. So let's see if this number is palindrome or not. So this number is not a palindrome. So how is this program working? So let me pass it a palindrome and let me execute it, and yes, it's a palindrome. So how this function is able to determine that this number was a palindrome? So a call is made, the control goes to the is palindrome function, where first we define a power variable called PWR. We discussed it in the previous lecture. Initialize it the value of 0. Okay, so we have a lot of time. Okay, so initially the power variable has the value of 0. So what was the first step? If the number is less than 10, then return true. Then straight away we are going to return true, and we are going to say that okay, because it's a single number, so it's a palindrome. So What does it mean? It means that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all these numbers are palindrome. Else, if the number is not less than 10, so it means the number could be 10 or higher than the 10 number. So we come to this else part, and inside this else part, you can see over here, we have a while loop, another nested while loop. So this is the first while loop, while, and then this is the second while loop, and this is the boundary. So what does the first while loop says to us? It says while num divided by static cast in. So we are casting whatever is the result of this operation, we are casting it to integer. So power is a built-in function that gives the power of 10. So whatever is the value of PWR, so it will return like initially we have the value of 0, so 10 to the power it will give us the value of 1. So while num, so what is the output? Num is greater than 10 here in this case, so power of 10 initially is 1. So we have the number greater than or equal to 10 because it is greater than or equal to 10, and in fact it is greater than equal to 10, so power is incremented 1, so power becomes 0. And then we move on. While num is greater than 10, once again we check that while num is greater than 10, so we go to the body of this while loop where we have an if condition. If num divided by, again we are casting the result of this operation into an integer value. So power of 10 to the power of PWR is not equal to num modulus 10. So if this is not equal to num modulus 10, so then we are going to return false. So what does that mean? It means that like the first number is not equal to the last number. So then of course if the first number is not equal to the last number, then we have the number is not a palindrome. Remember that in this slide, let me zoom out. We noticed in this slide that okay, so here this power operation gives, so it removes the first digit, so the number modulus 10 to the power this. And what does this do? This operation removes the last digit. So the same operation is applied over here. Let me zoom in. If number divided by whatever this is not equal to num modulus 10, so then okay, let me check it out once again. Yes, okay, that's okay. Okay, if it is not equal to 10, so this means that the first number is not equal to the last number. So, or the last number is not equal to the first number, then we return false. Obviously, this is then not a palindrome number. So this will remove, this operation will remove the last number, and this will remove the first number. So what we get, we compare the last number with the first number. If they are not equal, then we return false. The number is not a palindrome. Else, if the first number is equal to the last number, or the last number is equal to the first number, then what we do, we divide the num, we perform the modulus operation, and what we did, we remove the first digit from the num by using this num modulus operation. We convert this power 10 to the power, it will gives us some number, and then it is converted into integer, and then we perform the modulus operation. As a result, the first number is removed, and then we remove the last number by performing this operation. Num is divided by 10. And of course we also discussed that the power is decremented by 2. So this operation removes the last digit, while this operation removes the first digit, and then we decrement PWR by 2. So with that, let me once again go to we decrement PW by 2. This operation will remove the last digit, whereas this operation will remove the first digit from the palindrome. And then we once again we go to else part is executed, if else part is executed, and then we once again check whether the number is greater than 10. So if it's still greater than 10, then the same operation is performed, and then we remove the first and the last digit from the number. So as long as this is okay, this is the body of while loop. So when we break from the inner loop and no, this condition is not met, so then we will obviously, it means that the number is palindrome. So at that point we are going to break from the while loop, and then we will jump to this statement where it will return true to the main function or to the calling function, and then the one result will be displayed on the screen telling the user that it is a palindrome number. So I think it is clear to you. If there are some problems, you can get an example. You can step by step execute these statements and then understand these statements. Remember that these operations are important. Remember these operations, removing the first digit and then removing the last digit and decrementing power by 2. So it will help you in understanding or in implementing this example. So okay, once again we have a power 0. If the number is less than 10, we return true, because the number less than 10 are obviously palindrome number. Else, we go to the else part, this else part, and inside this else part we have a while loop, and while loop is used to test this condition. While num static cast in num, we divided by the whatever we get from this operation, we divide num by whatever we get from this operation is still greater than 10. Here in the first case it is greater than 10, then we increment the power, we make it 1, and then we test once again we test the condition. If the number is greater than 10, so we move on, but if the number is less than 10, then we breaks out and then we go to this statement. So then inside this inner while loop we perform some operation. First we check the equality of the first number to the last number. If they are not equal, we return false straight away, telling the user that it is not a palindrome. Else we remove the first digit and then we remove the last digit and decrement the power by 2. Okay, so with that I think it is understandable. I know that it's a difficult example, but with a lot of practice you would be able to understand it. If still you have some problem, you can post it on the Google group, and then I'll be happy to answer your queries. So inshallah, I'm going to see you in the next lecture. Till then, Allah Hafiz and take care.